Hello, welcome to the Career Talkies with Abhilash. You know that we have been celebrating the 25 years of Kargil Vijay Divas, and this we have opened up a series where I have got the fortunate. I've been very fortunate to invite guests who have been part of Kargil War from Defense Forces, and also guests who have their perspective about the war. जब हम ये सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं आई वांट टू आल्सो से दैट we look here defense as a career, and as a career leader our guest how they have been in their pathway of their journey, because जब उन्होंने join किया defense forces they also saw a battlefield in front of them. How did they navigate, especially today when we talk of 25 years of Kargil? All of us know that the young blood or young uh, Indian army captains and lieutenants were there on the battlefield. It was not a war which we can say that people from academy who had just passed out were directly posted over there, and that young mind of 23, 25 years tackling such a war scenario, and especially when things when the kind of difficulty which you have seen, even today a lot of news items have spoken how difficult the terrain was. So we want to understand the mindset what goes through a Fauji when he chooses a career as a Fauj, and especially with that. To discuss this further, today I have with me, I'm very honored to have with me Colonel Vinay Siddineni. He's a gunner, he's an artillery man, and you all are aware that Kargil war was about Bofors, was about guns. And I would like to first introduce him on the screen here.
Good morning.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I know the problem with our country is when we celebrate one Kargil day, everywhere, every media houses searches every Fauji to be there on their sets. But you sparing some time out for me over here is an honor for me. And I do realize that we have a very small time with us for conversation. But, sir, thank you very much again for being with me at a very such short notice.
Should I say on the lighter side, कभी एक दिन हमको भी मौका मिलता है बोलने के लिए.
सर, हम आपकी गाथाएं बोल रहे हैं. We have actually, you see the
Thank
entire
you. Very kind.
journey everywhere. Everywhere, I think we had a narration discussion that I had done one session with Major Rakesh Sharma, Shaurya Chakra, and he happens to be your course mate as well. And I must tell you that the binding you have for the forge, that is what is reflecting. And हम तो सर 20-30 मिनट conversation is nothing for the what kind of contribution and what kind of ethos you carry with you. And today's episode is all about it, because uh, every phase of your life which I see when we talk about a career path, every phase of your life you have actually award winner in every phase, which I can see from the other's perspective. But I'm sure itna easy to hoga nahi. That would have been a different challenging scenario. With that, sir, I would like you to first start with our first phase, that your from your school, your background, to how did you join Indian Army or Indian Defense Forces? What was the motivation, and what exactly where you come from? Was it a very common thing? All that aspect that you choose to wear uniform in 1995, 1997.
Yeah. So, firstly, a small point. Major Rakesh, firstly, is a course senior to me, but we did a course in artillery, one of the courses together. So, Rakesh sir is senior to me. We were good friends when we were doing a course in Devlali. So, that was one part of it. Okay, now coming to my journey. See, my journey was this way that my father was from the public sector undertaking. So we've been moving around a number of places. We were in Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi, Bangalore. In one of those journeys, when I was in Chennai, I was lucky to have Mr. Leander Pace as my classmate. The tennis great Mr. Leander Pace was my classmate. Obviously, though obviously he wouldn't remember me, but I will obviously remember him because he's Mr. Leander Pace. Why this? Why this Leander Pace conversation was? See, when Leander Pace was a classmate, he was more of there in the class to play tennis than more than the studies part. He was just. It was because my school was. Had Britannia Amritraj Tennis Foundation, which was at that point of elite tennis foundation. Mr. Amritraj was the founding member, and he had found talent like Leander Pace and Gaurav Natikar and these people. So Leander was a classmate. So we used to look at him with awe, wherein he would be there, he would be getting all the attention. So it was a motivation in the sense that if Leander can do it and be in the limelight, why can't I be, or why can't we be a part of it and be in the limelight? And the primary part is that I wanted that my parents should be proud of me. I mean, it's a any child's ambition that the parents should be proud of it. So I was looking for opportunities wherein my parents could be proud of me. They could brag around saying, "Yeah, Vinay is my son." So I didn't get much of an opportunity. But subsequently, after I left the school where Leander was my classmate, I went to Delhi, wherein I found a place where my I was a tenant and we were a tenants, and my landlord had a son who was an ex-NDA. So the dad and the mom used to be so proud of their child that my son is an ex-NDA. He was a naval officer, so they used to always say, Lieutenant so and so is our son, and we are so proud. So maybe I thought this is one thing wherein our parents can be proud of. So that's when that spark had come up. Though I had no idea what NDA was, and even after I joined NDA, I didn't know what NDA was. I mean, to be very frank, I'll not romanticize it, but I never knew what NDA was. I thought, yeah, NDA must be a place where which people would join and their parents would be proud of it. So that's how that spark came in. Then that was in my 10th standard. So I heard of NDA. So that went past. Then I moved to Bangalore. So as I said, my dad was in the public sector. So we moved to Bangalore. So I somehow got that thing stayed at the back of my mind, and I got an opportunity to appear for an NDA exam, and followed by the services selection board for NDA. So it was all a game for me. I mean, I was never that serious. Ki, yeah, I'm joining NDA. So it was a game, and I cleared it. So again, see, as I said, I will not romanticize it that I was patriotic, I was this, I was that. So see, that patriotism would always be at the part of any some part of the heart, but it was not a thing that I want to join the army and wear the uniform and this and that. My primary aim was that I want my parents to be proud of me. So then I had the opportunity. The first opportunity I got, I cleared, and I thought, "Bus ho gaya." So I think, why should I not join it? So that's how I joined the NDA. And while joining the NDA, also I was one of those really plumpy kids who was declared medically unfit initially for my weight. But subsequently, the doctor said कि NDA अपने आप तेरा weight को संभालेगा तो पहुंच NDA. so so then I joined NDA. But that was it. The doctor's words were there wherein he said NDA apne aap sambhal lega. So NDA was a place where I was starting from 4 in the morning till 11 at night. I was physically rogered because I was this goal matol person and unable to clear a number of these physical education tests. So I was there for everyone to be sorted out. Anyone looking around, chal, aaja tu do front roll kaat le. So that was how it was. So I mean, in fact, my course-mates used to call me Kolu Kabel.
अरे
I
बाप रे.
know what you would be aware what is Kolu
Right,
Kabel.
right,
So
right.
Kolu Kabel because other than my seniors and my instructors training me, I used to myself train. When there was an opportunity, people would like to sleep, but I used to train and do a lot of running. I had to come down and I had to be physically fit. So that's how I used to be. If no one else is there to roger me, I was there myself to roger myself.
So that's the motivation, sir. I think I would want my audience to understand that NDA is 3 years and uske baad IMA 2 years. Sir is alumnus of NDA, National Defence Academy, Pune, Khadakwasla, and Indian Military Academy in Dehradun. And he was again commissioned into artillery in June 1997. Sir has been also he has had important regimental staff and instructional appointments and actively took part in various operations, including Operation Vijay, which we are talking, commemorating today, Operation Rakshak, Operation Parakram, Operation SARP VINASH. He has been awarded the Commendation Card by General Officer Commanding in Chief for the first of its kind mounted parade in artillery. So I would like to, because हमारे पास टाइम थोड़ी सी कम है, but I would wish if you could actually tell me, sir, you were 97, you were commissioned in artillery, and within 2 years, this Kargil battle happened. Where were you posted? What was your mindset? I would want to understand a bit about this, because you don't, as you mentioned, that you were there to make your parents feel proud about it. वो story थोड़ी सी बताए. How were they feeling about it? Yes, it's scary, and I was in class 10th that time, and my father was uh, was posted in Kargil or was in the field, and there was no connection phone call for, or that time STD phone call used to not happen for like months and days. And if you start writing letter won't come care of 56 APO, and like it would go, but where it would go, God knows. So I know people would not relate who are not from Fauji background, but somehow or other way, because I've seen those challenges, I wanted to understand from your perspective as a young officer in 1997, roaring to scale up the heights, and the kind of commitment which you showed कि आप खुद ही अपने आप को, getting into the putting yourself in the testing field again and again. So some difference, that is a great attitude which you showcased in NDA and IMA. थोड़ी सी a journey around it to the artillery, and little bit about artillery. Our audience also is not aware about various part of the Indian Defence Forces. उनको तो सब एक ही लगता है with the olive greens. थोड़ी सी on that, and then on your battle experiences.
Okay, yeah. So to start with about the artillery, as I said, I myself was not a Fauji. So I when I joined the artillery, I never knew what was artillery. I only knew that it had Bofors because Bofors was then not a what do you call a good thing to say before the Kargil battle because of you all know the scams and such things which were
Right.
there. But I only heard of Bofors. But later when I joined the artillery. So I came to know of the various equipment which forms the artillery. We have the guns which fire at long distance, and uh, they all say that say एक बुलेट बनता है एक बंदे के लिए, but in artillery say we all say to all to whomsoever it may concern. So जहाँ गोला गिरा all around it is तहस नहस, it's all destruction.
True.
So I was part of the artillery and I'm very proud of it. So I was commissioned in this was as far as the artillery is concerned. Uh, so commissioning it happened in Ranchi. Then we all moved to uh, a place in J&K in North Jammu and Kashmir. So I wouldn't be too explicit about things because it's not
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
be.
sure, sure.
Yeah. So it was in North Kashmir, and I joined my unit after my initial training, which we call as the young officers training. So that happens in Devlali. So after that, I joined in that place in Kashmir, and from Ranchi we all moved there. So I joined there in February '98.
Okay.
Okay, so and after that, then this May '98, the Pokhran blast happened, and all that. That euphoria was on. So see, once you might have joined the army for whatever other reasons, but once you enter the academy and go through the various rigmaroles, you that spark continues to remain. It is not for what you joined, but then it becomes part of your blood, your DNA. That flag flying there is part of it. So then I went to North Kashmir. I was there from '98, as I said, '98 February onwards. So this thing continued there, and my unit is we are known as Veer Rahees, Yadavs. Mine is a pure Yadav unit, and it is a saying which goes in my unit that wherever Yadavs go, they get action along.
Great.
So when we went to Kashmir in the '90s, the present the the anti-terrorist and anti-CI ops and all started, and we were the first artillery unit to be presented with a commendation. So that was in 93. So the second time when we went, this was this operation wherein we entered a place which was peaceful till then, but the moment the Virahis entered, that action started in that area. And regular firings used to happen even before Kargil in 98 also. Lot of arty firing used to happen. Prior to that, not a single bullet was fired, but since Virahis entered it, and the entire place had action going around. So since 98 onwards, this firing used to be happening. I was part of, as a youngster, obviously, I wouldn't be sitting in the headquarters. I was on all posts all along. So wherever I was, this firing used to happen, arty firing. And then it happened in May 99 when the unfortunate thing about Lieutenant Anuj Kalia happened. It's all started. So I was there in the post as part of it. The firings used to happen. I was known as Kachar OP, Mule Kachar,
Okay.
because
Hard
what used to happen,
climbing.
our sorry,
Mule to climb सामान लेके ढोके, they climb
correct,
the
correct.
toughest
So
terrain में.
correct, correct. So what used to happen is that the logistic convoys used to go around, so they never used to let the our convoys fly. So they used to be firing. So we had our convoys moving only at night. So as a retaliation, we used to fire. Their convoys were not there. That area was not, treadable, not a terrain where vehicles used to fly. So they used to have the logistics coming with mules. So I used to be firing on mules to ensure that the logistics used not used to be
नहीं जाए.
happening. That's
Right.
why I was called Khacharopi then.
Okay.
So
Fantastic.
the initial part of 1999, when the prime Kargil operations were happening, I was at a location which was a bit away from the main operations. But toward the later part, then I went on to a place which was close by to the operation, very, very close by to the operations where things were happening. And we were the first unit when the guns were heli lifted.
Oh, great.
They were
Yeah,
they were
that news we
dismantled.
had also. I had also remember that heli lifting of guns had happened overnight
Yeah, correct.
deputation, and yeah, right.
So, so the guns were dismantled and heli lifted to a place because it was not motorable, and then reassembled and firing happened. So I was part of that firing wherein they were reassembled and fired across, and this operation continued till, as you all know, till July 26. So somewhere in the mid of June, I was directed into that location where these operations were happening. I very clearly remember this because 8th of June was India Pakistan match, the World Cup match. So we won the match and we were celebrating the our usual way. Then after that, I was inducted into the operations wherein the guns were inducted, and I went as the OP officer and deployed there. It went on till October. The deployment was there till October. So actually, I was away from my parents from January that year, 99 to October that year. So why I brought this point of January to October is, as you said, we had forces letter to only communicate, and 15 days was the time when the letter would reach. So the day the first letter would reach, my second letter I would communicate in the forces letter. So I could not speak to my parents for this 10 months. So my parents, in fact, were, I think, had their own doubts whether I did survive or didn't survive. People are just saying that he is available, because they used to call up my unit and ask about my well-being. So the officer there in the unit used to say, "Yeah, he's fine, all good." But my parents had their own doubts whether I did survive, because only they used to speak to another officer, not me. So that was so. To add on to what you said, communications then were such a way wherein you could not even communicate, which nowadays I don't think anyone would perceive. How can
But
such a thing happen that
sir,
not
you are saying very simply this point that what goes through a parent, like when you call and they say that yes, he's fine, but you, because the news item which were coming that time, and Kargil being the first televised war in India, uh,
correct?
the stories coming, the stories of it was, one could, it, I think your parents had immense strength to stay positive even in that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
duration.
yeah,
We
yeah.
all have gone through that, and that somehow, when you mentioned that you want to for the pride of your parents, they would have immensely felt that pride during that time after seeing you
Yeah,
when you.
I could actually feel it when I went back, and they were all they were swelling with pride and boasting around, bragging around everywhere that my son's back from Kargil.
Absolutely, sir. I think I know, because very simply, वो जो moment है when your calls goes and you except you everybody's answering, it also puzzles the brain of whether one should ask or not. It's about motivation of the other soldier also, who is picking up the phone and thinking like that. So I
Correct,
think I lot of credits and due respect to your parents. They were so strong and they had the empathy about you and the fellow soldiers as well. आई मस्ट आई मीन शत शत नमन आई फील खाली फौज में सिर्फ आप ही नहीं हो सर, आपके सपोर्ट के साथ फैमिली और योर
correct,
इट strengthens the entire motivation. So one more, because we're a little bit on the time thing, and I want to continue on the Kargil part. So एक चीज आप what you mentioned about, which I want to understand, uh, a commendation card on the mounted parade in artillery you got. So what exactly is that, and when was that at that part of your career, basically?
okay. So just to take it forward from where I left, 99, this thing happened. So we after that we moved down to various other locations. So over a period of time, we continue to go from field to peace and peace to field. That transition, you all know, and we all know, it keeps happening over a period of 2 to 3 years. We keep moving. So some after about 11 years from the Kargil War, I was in a unit which was celebrating its platinum jubilee. So when the unit was celebrating a platinum jubilee, we wanted to do something which was different from the others. So we did generally mounted parades are done by the armored corps units. So for the first time, an artillery unit had done a mounted parade. Mounted parade is wherein all the entire unit is on a either on a vehicle or on a tracked or a wheeled vehicle. So we were all part of it. It was happening for the first time in the Indian artillery, wherein a drill was devised. It was conceptualized, planned, devised, and because it was the first of its kind, and no such thing had happened ever. And see, drills are it cannot be taken lightly. So any and every drill has a specific meaning to it, and if it has to be done, it has to be done. There's no two ways about it. And the chief of the army staff was reviewing the parade. He was taking the salute. So things had to be ticky ticky boo, and every second were mattered. So this was all planned, conceptualized over a period of 6 months. We were all practicing, rehearsing every day, and it happened at Jodhpur. And the then chief, the RT chief, General Deepak Kapoor, had taken the salute. So for everything, starting from the conceptualizing to planning to devising and execution, was done with the CEO's blessings, my CEO's blessings, and wherever required, he was there to guide me. But the final execution part was done by me. So that's how it was. Even the chief had seen it for the first time, so he was quite impressed. So that's how when this all happened, then the then army commander had commended me for doing this. First
Fantastic,
of
sir.
its.
Congratulations. So,
So
because
thank
now I can tell you this, but while I want to speak more about, I want to listen to you on your battle stories like any other viewer, any other listener of the country. I was very much mesmerized. But going by the time and limitation, I would like to cut short on that part. But I would also give one my way of looking at it. So, you came from a non-Fauji background, you joined army, while exploring everything, and in that you have done many of the first. You have been part of many operation, you've been seen the battle, you've seen various part of the country, and something I think which the way you mentioned, आपने भी imagine नहीं किया कि the world, the entire journey of the life of an army as an army officer across the nation. So what is your take for young audience or young student who are unable to know this part of the picture, what kind of ethos they build in? Because somehow ऐसा लगता है कि लाइक डॉक्टर का बेटा डॉक्टर बनेगा, कि ऐसा तो फौजी का बेटा फौजी बनेगा, इज व्हाट गोज ऑन, एंड इट्स नॉट ट्रू, एटलीस्ट इन योर केस आई कैन say that the way the enthusiasm you have in your smile today, I can see when we were talking about India, आप recollect कर रहे थे every moment over what you were there in 1995, 1996. थोड़ी सी on that verdict for 5 minutes for a little bit on the your experiences, what army has kind of inculcated your exposure, and I think that's the best decision you took as a career, and what you would say for young audience watching this scene today.
See, as you had brought out, now I'm seeing the other side of the society, wherein being a part of the army, I'm come to the other side. See, I joined the army in '93 when I was 16-year-old, so I didn't see much of the society. So now having seen the other side of the society, so I feel that the generation, I wouldn't say the current generation, I would say that the generation which is non 4G, which is part of the civil society, they are a number of achievers. They are good at their own field. One should not compare, but what I feel should they should inculcate maybe, because if you see, as they say, the army is the oldest profession, and all the managerial or corporate learnings have somehow has an army background to it. So a few things which maybe the current lot of people may inculcate is things like loyalty. See, if I am smiling, enjoying every moment of my journey in the army, it is because I loved it. My passion, my loyalty toward the organization was there. But I see that, I mean, one example, there was this girl who was a banker who was giving me a few loans for my venture, which I'll talk when you come up with. In 2 years of my not being a Fauji, she had changed four banks. So I have my own doubts as to what is the loyalty that she has. See, from one bank to the next bank, she will. The moment she would have gone to the next bank, she would have badmouthed the previous bank. I'm not saying she would have. She wouldn't have also. But see, so what is it that is there in the as an ethos? See, you cannot say if you moved out of that organization from a bank to a services business or something, that would have been different. But within the same thing, within 2 years, four different banks, what is the loyalty left? I have my own queries. Chalo, anyway, I will not dwell
No,
further on
we
it.
will not dive
But,
into there.
yeah,
But
but
you have
I
got
feel loyalty is one thing maybe people should learn. I'm not saying keep looking for better opportunities and keep switching careers, but you should have your loyalty. You served even for one day under that organization. That loyalty should be there. You should not badmouth the previous organization. Whatever it is, you would have not gone through a good experience, but you have been part of it. That you should take the ownership for it.
absolutely so. So now coming back to my favorite part of your life career. In fact, while your first Fauji life was inspirational, too much inspirational, and I would in fact ask for one more time to talk about careers in defense in that part. I will take your time, seek your time for that. But now coming to something which basically I want the people to understand. Sir hung up his uniform in October 2021 after serving about quarter of a century in Fauj in army, contributing for the nation building. इन्होंने अपना youth, literally अपना youth has he has given for the service of the nation. And let me tell you, his enthusiasm, which we see in the screen today, has not, it is just as useful as ever, because he turned into a serial entrepreneurship, which we have been speaking about. कैसे various ideas, how multiple people are trying to work on entrepreneurial journey of their own. And he has co-founded three different ventures in various multiple domains: sports, transport, and security. And I would want sir थोड़ी सी आप उस पे भी highlight करें on that journey. And his venture is not just about opening up a venture, but he has been able to achieve a combined annual recurring revenue of around 3 crores and very operational profitability within just 2 years of incorporation. Now, this is very, very rare when it comes to an entrepreneurial journey, because we as an entrepreneur do understand आपके ideas अच्छे हो सकते हैं, but people fail at execution. But here we have person like Colonel Vinay, who I'm sure is known for his execution only, because the way he mentioned his journey in the battlefield and journey in military career, and in fact the commendation. Why I highlighted the commendation part, because that drill of mounted parade was being done for the first time, and it is all about execution. And sir himself said, एक second, एक
Yeah, yeah.
minute was monitored. So वो एक शायद से आंसर के अंदर ही पैशन है सर. And the next 5-10 minutes, because I understand thodi si, I am also challenging you on time, but I would want you to openly speak little bit on what was your entrepreneurial journey, why this transition did you take, and all what you co-founded, kaise hua aaya, especially the grow with you. I think that is about children in serving the children of Bangalore, and especially it is little more डेवलपमेंट अप्रोच है, मतलब थोड़ी सी अलग हो जाता है फ्रॉम एनी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी काइंड ऑफ entrepreneurial ideas. And one aspect of yours is, which we are, you're known in LinkedIn as well as a compassion warrior, and very sensitive, because you have been handling people, the battle scarred warriors and soldiers with disabilities, about their wellness also, well-being also. And one aspect I think which you mentioned खुद ही से कि you are an avid sports person and fitness and around fitness, तो ये तीनों को थोड़ी सी आप need be for me and help us to understand your transition in this entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, so I'll what do you call the change the order of the question. Okay, so now that the compassion warrior part which you said, so that was while I was in the uniform. So toward the end, when I had already decided that I'll hang up my uniform. The reasons for hanging up I'll tell you as part of my entrepreneurial journey. But when I decided that I'll hang up my uniform, that's when I was posted in a place. In my alma mater, wherein in Nasik, I was with the battle scarred. So by battle scarred, I mean that when the units or the organizations are inducted to operational areas, so there are a few people who have multiple injuries, they have ailments going, so these people are not taken along for the battle, because see, as is known that to take them along, not that they will be a liability or something, but it will affect their health, so they are left behind at a place which is centrally located, and they'll remain there till the time the unit is operational in an operational area. So these people come down to the alma mater, that is Nasik. So they're all there. So there are about 400, almost 400 such people who have some either battle scarred or injuries, or the injuries could be physical, they could be emotional, they could be mental. So these people are left behind, and not that they cannot perform. It is just that for their own safety, for the better efficiency, they're left behind. So I was looking after those people. So I had to be managing those people as part of my alma mater at Nasik. So all these 400 people were part of me. So they are employed optimally and effectively at various locations. They would be manning some administrative roles and such things. So there are a few people who've had what you call mental ailments. They could be because of the operations that they carried out, or these things. So they were all part of me, and to manage them was a challenge, but at the same time a very fulfilling, satisfying thing, and that too during COVID. And they were all those people who were very uh, I mean, when the COVID was on, they could have had it, and
Absolutely.
they could have contracted it, and they could have had multiple complications. So
Right.
to manage them was a major challenge, and so the way they were all managed, that's how I was given a nickname of compassion warrior, because I could look after them well, as they say. So I shouldn't say that I looked after them well, but someone else who felt that I looked after them well had started calling me a compassion warrior. So that is as far
Great.
as the
That's very
compassion.
inspiring, sir. I think मैंने तो एक्चुअली वो पढ़ा था आपके लिंक्डइन में एक I mean, as a pointer mentioned. But thanks you told the story about it, because we are not aware about this part of army also, to take care of their soldiers who are having ailments during any and these things. So it's a very, I am sure that first time only किसी को ये पता भी चला होगा कि there is such kind of detailment happening about caring about soldiers who are who have this kind of ailment, and especially during COVID जैसा आपने बताया that was nothing to do with everybody could become a victim of COVID. It was such a scenario during then, and the entire thing was about taking care, following the guidelines, and staying as much safe as possible. Definitely.
Just to clarify, I was not medically involved. It was purely managing.
Absolutely, no,
I
sir,
mean,
I
just to
understand.
clarify.
या बिकॉज उस टाइम पे ना आई वाई आई मेंशन दिस इज कि जैसे एक कलेक्टर होता है डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, when the health preventive activities are taken, they might not be doctors, but the entire procedure has to be followed with that finesse, that the health, like what happened in COVID and for the entire nation. And I can feel that aspect of you being shown in this particular example. And actually then I wouldn't call it as an entrepreneurial journey. मुझे थोड़ी सी, I would correct myself over here that it is not entrepreneurial journey. It's your it's a credit you should carry on with you. So I'll cut that as an entrepreneurial journey. Now
No,
I
no,
want to
no. I
come
was
down.
just
No, no. So that's a humanity, and that's a very good characteristic of a person, and that I think everybody of us should have it. आपने उसको demonstrate किया, that, and that's a well thoughtful thing. Whoever has given you this name and adage, so thank you to him as well. But now, sir, about your transition, why you actually uh, feel like you're being an entrepreneur would be a better thing, and things like
I would like to say I would have loved to stay back in the uniform. So I wouldn't say I'm passionate about, my passion remains my uniform, but I found a gap which needs to be filled. So that's the reason why I felt I may be a person who can fill that gap. Then and I can contribute better and optimally. So that's how I took the plunge. So the thing here is why I started this venture was, as I'd already mentioned, I am an avid sportsman. Not a professional sportsman. I'm an amateur sportsman. I would like to take part in all sports. Even now, I'd like to play. If given a chance, now I can go and play right away. So that sports was a passion to me. So what happened when the sports, my passion was there. I wanted my son to learn a few games. My son is a tall guy. He is 6 feet 4 inches. So I wanted him to learn basketball. So I found, though the army has all the infra available and the coaches available, but there were two three gaps which I found. One was how does he go to this coaching venue? And because my timings wouldn't match his, he was young, I could not take him and so on. And though the coaches were there, but it's a structured kind of a coaching was missing at various places. So I found these two gaps, that is a structured kind of a coaching for any sport, and the transport to these coaching venues. So that's when I realized, while being in the army, if I'm facing such a thing in a class A city or in a normal society, how the other parents who might want the children to learn something as not a, I wouldn't say as a career, but as a recreational activity. If you want to your child to learn a game, but you're unable to do it because of these things, you are working, you wouldn't get time to pick up and drop the child, and you wouldn't find the right kind of a coach who's qualified, whose expertise is there. So this gap was there. So that's when I decided that I should be able to help the society to find such a thing. So I started this venture wherein the I would connect the parents to the coaches who are nearby, and also provide the transport. So it was a hyper local venture wherein the parents would like to connect to the coaches and the transport. So these coaches and the transport would not be a part of my I mean, they're not part of my payroll. They would all be aggregators. So I created a tech platform wherein the parents can post their requirement, And the moment the requirement is posted, they are able to connect to the coaches as well as the transport. So that app would be able to connect to them. That was the primary idea behind it. So this was the idea with which I started Growu, that is Grow with Us.
Okay, sir. Very good, sir. It
So
is a
this
very.
is one venture of mine.
I think you did it in Bangalore. City was Bangalore.
Yeah, yeah. I did it in Bangalore and more localized towards the south and east Bangalore.
Fantastic. Because, sir, I must tell you this. While we were also growing up, what we realized, kids whose parent would actually take them on their kinetic Honda to various places to learn music or learn sports at the schedule in which these operate, they would only play professionally for national or district level. Rest of
Correct,
us,
correct.
who even if we had talent, but just because our parents were busy or in a different setup, neither my mom knew how to drive a scooty, or I'm talking of that era. So, or you can they would don't they won't allow you to cycle up also and go such far places to
Correct, correct.
to do learn, especially swimming pool or where the infrastructure is a major thing. So we did not learn, although we were feeling that we could have learned. So those aspiration hopes just die out as we grow. But I think what you felt and the way you've taken an action, it was a very simple solution and just meeting up of the requirement, and then the loop keeps on happening till the time the continuity of the learning and this thing happens. In fact, I would like to add on one more thing. What happens if the student or if the bacha is a very good comes out to become a very good athlete? Does he get more exposure because then the training level would go from his coach to some other level so that he can play state, or have you
So
thought in that line, state or national
So
only?
right now, see, this is an evolving process. So right now, I've thought of sports more as a recreational activity.
Okay,
So
okay.
now, as I said, you're looking at sports more as a career or
Carry.
as a
Right.
professional. So I wanted to. I mean, my idea was there for it. I couldn't scale it up to that level because it requires a different kind of a setup. So what I thought of was that there are a number of these academies which are more professional academies. Even in Bangalore, there are such academies. I mean, I'll just quote an example. Padukone Dravid Academy is an
Right.
academy which is very famous. It specializes. So I could actually promote them to such a level that they can then take on from then on. Maybe Padukone Dravid Academy would be there, depending on the parents' capability, financial capability to be able to afford it. See, I could only get them to a certain level. Beyond a certain level, it is up to the parent. I would have loved to take him even up to the national level, but I have to have my own limitations. So I
So
was looking
actually,
at sports as more of a recreational thing.
sir, in your entrepreneurial journey, sir, there would have been ups and downs. Definitely not like, I wouldn't say similar to a military career, but the entrepreneurial journey would have maybe finding a loan, maybe finding stakeholders. How did you manage that as an aspect of your these challenges, which are like, uh, the forge has very disciplinarian approach, but here outside, many of the entrepreneurs do not fail because of their idea didn't work, but just because they couldn't actually execute it to the level which they thought they could actually do while thinking of that idea. So what is your thought on the support system around it? And with that, I will close the session on this part, and I would like you also to end up with a little bit on entrepreneurial journey and transition of 4G officer to a successful entrepreneur.
Okay, so out of the three ventures that I did, the venture that I brought out about Grow is just one of it. The other two were more related to Forge in the sense that I'm doing something related to the security, and the other one is related to transport. Wherein the transport, which was for the sports, is now I have kind of made it to evolve to school transport also. These are the other two ventures. Okay, getting back to the challenges that I faced in my the primary venture, that is Grow With Us. So when I went about with Grovu, I faced multiple challenges. I'll just enumerate them. One is the tech part. I am a tech lizard, as I call myself. People call themselves tech wizards. I call myself a tech lizard. So I was zilch as far as tech is concerned. So I was dependent on anyone and everyone who could speak some verbose saying this, that. So I would be impressed. Yeah, he is knowledgeable. So I did hire a few people. I got cheated at number of places, but the tech platform did come up. That was one challenge I faced. Second challenge I faced was a co-founder. See, I joined Forge in 16, so all my friends are Forgy friends. So prior to that, whoever was there, they're all well settled in their corporate life. So I tried approaching a few, so none of them could be a co-founder with me.
Well,
So I couldn't find the right kind of a co-founder. And these were, I think, two primary challenges that I faced. Finances, I could manage because I had my corpus coming up and such things. So these two challenges I faced. Subsequently, as about the execution part, I executed it. I went about it the way I would have done it. But I realized at some point of a time, they say in the battles also, you need to take a logistic pause or a strategic pause. So I took a pause for a while, but things weren't looking up for me. Wherein this venture wasn't coming up the way which I wanted. There were too many moving parts in it, so things weren't working out the way I wanted. So I have tweaked it somewhat, wherein I was earlier aggregating everything, the coaches and the transport. Now I'm owning a few of them, in the sense that I've got my own transport to do it, and I'm hiring my own coaches. And here I'd like to mention that with pride, that my coaches are all army veterans,
wow,
those who played at the services national and such levels. So I'm hiring those people. So I'm from moving away from the outsourcing model to the ownership model, wherein I would like to have my own team, as far as both the coaches as well as the transport is concerned. So I am in that phase wherein I've tweaked it a bit. I've come to this level, so I'm planning to scale it up with the ownership model than the outsourcing model. So let's see how it works out. The other two ventures, because they are my own domain, that is security as well as a transport. So they are my own domain, so I don't have to work much on it. It's working on an auto mode, so I wouldn't say that that requires more of my attention. So my attention remains my original passion of sports. So I would like to devote more time for sports and make the nation a sporting nation, less of academic and more of sporting, because the child needs to have a holistic development. Academics is just one part of it. So I want to focus on that and make every child a holistically developed child.
fantastic, sir. Sir, your journey has been very, very. While we have having this conversation, I also started with feeling, kind of making you look more or understand you more like a person from uniformed forces and who has seen the battlefield and things like that. But while we are conversing and when your entrepreneurial side came into picture, I can see a fine-tuned entrepreneur, a very good investor, and a very good decision maker in every aspect. You mentioned about, I know what you are talking today is happening with many entrepreneurs. The outsource model is not working with the same discipline or same belief in which the entrepreneur initially actually tries to do the hub and spoke model of getting people and so that they work in a very coordinated manner, which is not happening. Very true. And this is a very operational point, and you mentioned that even if with the hiccups you start with owning it up and creating a standardized parameter. And I'm sure once you do that, people will want to replicate it in their own way, because you would have a very promote in a standardized kind of a full pattern how the entire journey, or especially with respect to sports, happen. Second part, which I actually felt very, very proud, and I'm very, very thankful that you thought through this, is actually hiring our 4G ustads, the sports ustads. What has happened, sir? I've seen them. I have seen what happens They are no less sportsmen than what we get, and for services they have done so much. When we were young kids, we used to go and see the boxing bouts, where uh, the s- the boxing bouts could actually, it was no less than what we see today in any of these national, or how they have covered. Seeing it live, seeing the passion, seeing the coach, seeing the entire team which is happening, the red team, the blue team, and I am having nostalgia about thinking around it. I used to also think that what after this, because फौज में during training sports comes at a part, but the ustad is there always training the young cadets and the young soldiers for the who can take this as a good sports and services and represent the country as well in forward. अगर आप उनको, if you have been able to catch them and help, take them into your team, definitely the standard of delivery will not be just recreational, it will be professional. I felt that is my personal thing. And with that, you have also given them a support and prestige to the fact that sports, फौज actually gives all the trades पे उनका फौज में पूरा discipline है, from cook से लेके supply operation, whatever you see in civil world today has actually come from fauj. I was a part of National Skill Development Corporation, so I realized that every skills we speak of, without without the फौज support, nothing actually comes out as a skill. वो स्किलिंग होता ही है फौज में जब वो घुसता है as a tradesman or as a thing. So when you have thought of an idea where you're able to capture them and create a business model around it, I think this is going to go great, and I am there to help you also to promote it to various part of the country and bring on
That's
people
very
who have the
kind of you.
similar thought lines. I'm very fortunate to have a discussion with you around this. But commemorating the 25 years of Kargil, a youth, a young officer like yours who was there in the battlefield, आपका ब्रेन कितना शार्प और कितना प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड आई कैन सी इन द कन्वर्सेशन, एंड डेफिनेटली वी आर ऑल वेरी प्राउड. दैट्स व्हाई आई फेल्ट Kargil war was a war about our young soldiers leading from the front, and I would like to thank you again. Uh, it's a very small conversation, and you could take a glimpse of it. But anything you want to share about, as we are celebrating the 25 years, I would like you to share the last words before we close today's conversation.
See, I thought about the entire thing as to what I would like to uh, tell the next generation or my own son, is what I brought out in the first part of my discussion. Hard work pays. Hard work pays.
Absolutely.
So I would urge all the youngsters that you might feel that you're doing a lot of hard work, but you're not getting the results. At some point of at some point, it does pay. See, if I had undergone whatever physical stress or whatever in my youth, I've been able to undergo all that. So I'm thankful that I can still use it, and my fitness, I feel I'm quite fit even now. Maybe that was an outcome of how I trained then. So if I'm able to run a half marathon even today, that is all because of my hard work that I did maybe when I was young. So at some point of a time in your life, your hard work does pay. So my only one and only advice, or a brotherly or a fatherly advice to the next generation, to my own son, would be to never forego on the hard work. Hard work will pay. May not be today, but at some point in life it does pay.